Being joined by Yaroslav Amosov. Go ahead, Nolan.
Yaroslav, as you sit up there, you got your title belt in front of you. Describe to me how you're feeling right now.
I'm feeling good. I have small problem in my body, but it doesn't matter because I'm fighter, and after fight it's normal, and I'm happy.
And you dominated the fight from start to finish, 50-45 on a judge's scorecard, 49-46 on the other two. Is that what you expected to come in here and dominate a tough guy like Lima like that?
Я думаю, многие думали, что я в этом бою не буду, у меня не очень будет хорошая кондиция.
A lot of people thought I was the underdog in this fight.
Я думаю, что люди понимали, что моя борьба лучше, но они думали, что я не смогу пробороться все 5 раундов. Соответственно, я не могу сказать, что я проборолся все 5, мне нужно еще пересмотреть. Я половину раунда старался драться, половину раунда мне угол подсказывал, и я действовал по указаниям моего угла.
People knew I had better grappling, but people didn't expect me to go full 5 rounds. I was listening to my coach's advices, and I was just going through it.
Все думали, что не получится, потому что мой последний бой получился тяжелый. Но никто не знает, какая была ситуация в моей последней подготовке. И, наверное, поэтому я был не фаворитом в этом бою. Но сейчас вы увидели, что я могу бороться все 5 раундов. Моя борьба на уровне самбо. Это самбо, детка.
Again, nobody expected me to go full 5 rounds, judging based on my last fight, because my last fight was very tiring, but nobody knew the situation with my last camp, and now I showed you guys, this is sambo.
Maybe. In the 5th round, he went for an armbar attempt, and it looked like it was a pretty solid attempt on his part. How tight was that, and how close was he to finishing that submission?
Да, был такой опасный один момент, но я верил в то, что он мне его не сделает, потому что я понимал, что это 5-й раунд, у него не так много осталось сил, и я понимал, что он не так плотно взял, мой локоть немножко ближе был ко мне, а не к нему, и я понимал, что ему очень сложно будет сделать болевой. Но в то же время, конечно же, я переживал.
Yeah, it was a little dangerous. I was a little cautious with that. It was a little tight, but I didn't think he was going to be able to pull it off because he seemed a little tired in the 5th round. So I just went with my gut, and I stuck to my thoughts, and I came out.
You mentioned in the post-fight interview in the cage that you have a son on the way. How much does it mean to you that when he's born, his dad's going to be a champion?
Это, наверное, одна из моих самых больших мотиваций была, которая помогала мне готовиться к этому бою, потому что я хотел, чтобы мой сын родился, и я был в статусе чемпиона. И сейчас я могу свободно восстанавливаться, отдыхать и ждать своего сына, помогать своей жене. Мы будем подготавливаться и ждать сына. Ждать в хорошем настроении. Если бы я проиграл, мне бы эмоционально было бы очень сложно, я бы не смог бы остановиться, и я бы просил бы опять бой, просил бы драться как можно скорее. И, возможно, это было бы очень эмоционально тяжелое время для меня.
I'm very excited to have my first son. It was giving me more motivation to be the champion because I wanted my son to come here and know that his daddy is a champion. But now I can finally rest, help my wife with everything, go back home and see my family, and slowly start to recover and go and ask for another fight.
Yaroslav, congratulations on the win and becoming the champion. It seemed between the 4th and 5th rounds that Douglas was visibly frustrated heading into the corner. Did you start to feel that yourself? Did you feel like you were truly frustrating him throughout that fight?
Вы знаете, я не обращал внимания на то, что как чувствует он себя. Мне было главное, чтобы я себя хорошо чувствовал. Я знал, что если я себя буду хорошо чувствовать, это не проблема для меня.
Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to how he was feeling or what he was feeling through emotions. I was just focusing on myself, and I knew once I focused on myself, I'm going to come out with a win.
Can I ask what your fans were chanting during the fight? You chanted with them after you became the champion, but you could hear it the entire fight, almost the entire 25 minutes. Your fans were chanting something over and over again. What were they saying?
Oh, it's Dynamo, Dynamo. This?
The Dynamo Scream, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
It's my nickname, and it's we have a football team and name Dynamo. Это ихняя кричалка, это кричалка нашего клуба Динамо, Динамо.
So we have a football club, and that's their initial nickname, and I decided to take it as my nickname.
И это кричат так фанаты, футбольные фанаты кричат так на футбольных матчах.
So yeah, the football team screams that at the matches, and I guess it stuck up to me.
Could you hear them throughout the fight? Could you hear them chanting? It seemed like you had a lot of people out here tonight.
Yes, of course. It's a Ukrainian, Russian guy. It's Russian language, Ukrainian language, and I know this language because English people. Let's go, and language Russian. Вперед, Yaroslav, Yarik.
And two last quick things for me. First of all, when we spoke on Wednesday, I asked you what it would mean to become the champion, and you kind of like slow played it. You were like, it would be cool, but it's another fight to me. How does it feel now?
Я себя чувствую отлично. I'm happy. It's fight. It's sports. It's my result. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, man.
And then last thing, you just fought, you just won the title, but in MMA, it's always about what's next. Michael Venom Page seems to be the #1 contender. Jason Jackson was in here earlier saying the best case scenario for him was you winning, and that the fans would want to see you defend your title against Jason Jackson after his win. What do you think should be next for you?
I think Michael Page is a good fighter, yes, of course. But I think he must fighting with Douglas Lima because it's a rematch, yes. And before this fight, I meet him Jackson. It's good guy. He very positive man, and we talk, we ask, it's good guy, and we talk after this fight. If I win and win Jason, maybe we next fight together, no problem. Smile. I think it's Jason Jackson. Michael Page, I think, must fighting with Douglas Lima. He won this fight. Yes, Michael Page say I want rematch Douglas Lima. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Michael Page and Douglas Lima. I fighting with Jason Jackson after.
All right, we'll take a couple more questions here. Gabriel?
Yaroslav, congratulations. Two questions. The first one, in 2019, you did not get to be part of the Grand Prix. And obviously that would have brought a lot of attention to you. Today, you're the champion. Do you feel like everything worked in just the right time and needed to?
В Гран-при было предложение мне пойти, но на тот момент мне предлагали быть запасным. Но я сделал операцию, и наша команда не согласилась быть на замене, потому что я был не готов к Гран-при. Не был готов к замене, тем более к 100% бою.
I had an offer for Grand Prix, but I had a surgery and my team decided to cancel it, and we just did not want to go with that decision.
Two more. Jeff?
Jeff Brinley from the Man in the Cage podcast. Congrats, Yaroslav. Did he do anything tonight, Lima, that surprised you, or did everything go as planned? Is this how you and your team drew it up tonight perfectly?
Меня удивило, что у меня осталась целая нога.
I'm surprised that I still have my right leg.
All right, last one here. Michael?
Hey, Yaroslav, congratulations on a hell of a victory tonight. You mentioned that you were going to do exactly what you did tonight, and you are today the first Ukrainian world champion. What was the first thing that came through your mind once the referee and raised your hand and they declare you the winner?
Я до объявления судьи понимал, что я победитель. Какое может быть чувство, когда ты знаешь, что ты выиграл пояс, что ты чемпион? Счастливый?
Before the referee even called it, in my mind, I knew I was the winner, so I didn't really pay attention. But what else can you feel? You can just be happy.
All right. Thanks, champ. Congrats on the win.
The recording has stopped.
Next up, Scott Coker.
Okay, let's open it up. This meeting is being recorded.
All right, we're now being joined by Scott Coker. Go ahead, Nolan.
Scott, your new welterweight champion is a 26-0 fighter who just dominated one of your long-standing champions. What did you think of that performance from Yaroslav Amosov?
Yeah, I mean, I think that anybody that wants to compete in the welterweight division better have a complete game, and they better be able to wrestle. And that's something that Amosov is very good at wrestling. Dan Lambert told me he's the best wrestler at AT&T when I was there last week, and he proved it tonight.
You're a guy that's seen your fair share of martial arts in your day. Where does his wrestling match up, do you think, in the scape of MMA?
I'll tell you, it's not just the wrestling because, I think if it was only the wrestling, I think Douglas could have maybe had an answer just for the wrestling part, but because he's worried about getting punched, he's worried about getting kicked, he's worried about getting taken down, I think it threw him off, and Amosov has a complete game, and that's really what MMA is today. You can't just be good at one or two, you better have it all, and his transitions were amazing tonight, and he was very smooth, and he did what he had to do.
This card had a very welterweight vibe to it, even though the co-main event was a catchweight. You had Michael Venom Page up in the booth as well. So how do you view the 170-pound division right now? Amosov and Jason Jackson both sat up here and they said they want to fight each other next. Do you like that fight? Is MVP next? What are you kind of thinking right now?
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back and talk to the fight team and figure that out. But listen, there's Neiman Gracie out there too, Jackson, you got MVP, you got Lima, you got Amosov. I mean, we got a great division there. So, we like to go back and reshuffle the deck, and let's see how the rankings come out on Monday.
Aaron Pico picked up his fourth straight win in a row tonight. He said he feels like he's ready to take that jump back up to fight some contenders. Do you agree with him?
I mean, from what I saw tonight, to me, he was the star of the night, as far as I'm concerned, man, because his improvement of his complete game, and we're talking left, right, body shot, takedown, his transitions were amazing. And so I saw a lot of combinations I haven't seen before with Aaron. And I think that his level of improvement has gone up drastically. So, we'll have a conversation with his management and his coach and see what they're thinking. But, he looked amazing tonight. And the guy he's fighting is no joke. So, he was impressive.
Last one for me, kind of random. I saw you were talking cage side quite a bit tonight with Combate Global's Campbell McLaren. Was that just a friendly conversation? Was that a business conversation? Can you talk to me about that whole thing?
No, it was actually just, it's the first time I met Campbell. Great guy. He seemed like he's has a great business going over there. And, Michael Venom, who used to work for us back in the Strikeforce days, is working over there. So it was a nice reunion, and he brought Campbell to come check it out. And we just hung out and said hello and just talked shop. It was a nice conversation.
Scott, how did it feel being out there and hearing the fans again? It was pretty surreal, honestly, at least for me. How was it for you?
It started for me yesterday when I walked into the building, and there were no curtains up. For 1 year, we've been in this environment, which is, they've taken great care of us here at the Mohegan Sun, and we've had this closed environment, almost like a closed set, a little set design going on, and no fans. And so when I walked into the stadium yesterday and I saw the bleachers down, I had to look twice because it was such an unreal experience because we haven't done it for so long. But that's when it started hitting me. Okay, this is a different setup, and fans are going to come. And to me, you saw the fan interaction. It was great, and they were very passionate. They cheered for their favorites, and they booed for the people they didn't want to win. And I always felt like sports needs fans, and fans need live sports. So tonight was a great return for us, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with the same setup, same amount of people, and then in July we'll pick it up, and hopefully by let's say September onward, it'll be kind of business as usual.
Going back to Aaron Pico, like you said, he was the star of the night. He just continues to improve and get better and better. And the hype that surrounded him coming into MMA was just at a ridiculous level. Do you feel like he's exceeded your expectations at this point in your career, or do we still have to wait a couple more to sort of gauge that?
I tell you, what I saw tonight was spectacular, and tremendous growth from where I saw him fight last time. And really, I think, he's more on the program of what we're looking for now, and the frequency of which we'll fight him will be more than we did before. And, I think by the end of the year, he'll be right back up there to where, he can start fighting the top guys again. Because I think that, what I saw today was impressive. And really, it was about the transitions and the combinations and how fluid he was, and from the punch, the kick to the takedown. And come on, to finish him with the choke. I mean, I was like, wow, this guy has come full circle, in my opinion, because he wasn't doing that a year ago, 2 years ago, and he tried 2 or 3 attempts. He tried, to finish him with a leg lock, knee bar, and he didn't work. But the transitions were there. So to me, that's really what was the most impressive.
And then last thing for me, I know you're not a matchmaker. You don't book all these fights. You have a team of individuals that do that, but Douglas Lima has been in this organization for a long time. He's one of the faces. He's lost 2 consecutive fights. That's something you don't say very often about a guy like that. What would you personally like to see next for him? Would you like to see him just kind of take a break and reflect and come back? Or do you want to see him sort of get right back in there? Have you talked to him at all since the fight?
No, I haven't talked to him, but, that's really going to be up to him. I mean, the guy is a great fighter, right? He got out-wrestled tonight, and that's just what it is. It's part of the sport. You better have a wrestling game at Amosov's level. Otherwise, you're going to get taken down. You're going to be on your back all night, and or you better be able to scramble and get back up. And you know what? It just didn't work out for him tonight. He could have had off night. But to me, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight MVP, right? I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Jackson. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Neiman Gracie. There's some fights out there for him, but really, it's going to be based on what he wants to do. Because if he wants to take some time off, then that's fine too.
All right, we'll take a couple more questions here. Jim?
Hey, Jim Varsalo, Miami Herald. Thank you so much. Hey, between Amosov, Jason Jackson, DeMarquez Jackson, South Florida just has so much talent down here. Just what is it like down here? I mean, coming down here and visiting here and all, and just all the talent that's here and what they mean to Bellator and the card.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question exactly.
Just South Florida in general.
Oh, I see.
This area. I mean, this area, South Florida, and just all the talent that's here.
I'll tell you, just going to that gym, I went to AT&T last week to say hello to Dan Lambert and just have a look at his gym. I've heard so many great things about it. And here's a guy that, I mean, I'm talking about Dan, loves mixed martial arts, has loved MMA, loves the fighters, loves the trainers, he just loves that gym. And if you know Dan's background, he doesn't need to do anything, but he loves to give back to the MMA community, and he loves to have a home for these fighters. And I'll tell you, it was super impressive because the gym was 40,000 square feet, had everything you needed to become to train as a professional. And he probably had about 100 people working out there. And then he told me, we only allow professionals to train here. We don't have any classes for the general public. So that gym is really just built for super athletes to be professional MMA fighters. And I know Sanford has a gym close by. I haven't had a chance to go look at it yet, but that's another group that has just an amazing facility, amazing trainers. So you're right. In Florida, man, they just it's a fight factory, and it's really impressive. And between those two, I mean, there's those two gyms. There's AKA in San Jose. Think about the amount of talent that gym has pumped out over the last 15 years. It's unbelievable. And then you got Winklejohn and Greg Jackson in Albuquerque. You got Henzo's Academy, and then there's a few pockets here or there, but those 5 gyms are probably producing, I would say maybe 80% of the talent in MMA. So it's very impressive to see so many great fighters coming out of South Florida now.
And lastly, for me, and again, thank you. Do you, Scott, see that this may be a good area then to have Bellator come down, and now with everything starting to open up again, to having something in South Florida? You have a lot of talent here.
Yeah, you're talking about doing fights there in South Florida?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, you know what? We definitely talked about it, and it's something we're considering. And maybe in the future. I'm not sure if my staff will show up to work though, because being in South Florida, they might not show up. It's definitely a great place to go and celebrate and have a good time. But as far as doing fights, listen, I'd love to go, and we'll start working on it.
Giancarlo?
Hi, Scott. Great event tonight. Just want to get your thoughts on Yoel Romero. He recently did an interview where he talked about August as being a time where you'd like to get back in the cage. Have you ever had any recent discussions with him on possible opponents? And follow-up to that, would a potential fight be an alternate for that 205-pound Grand Prix?
Yeah, I mean, as far as when he's going to fight, we have to wait till he's cleared. And as soon as we get that clearance, we'll definitely schedule him right away. We're hoping before the end of the year, he'll at least fight one time. As far as being an alternate for the tournament, that's a consideration. But another consideration is to have him move down to 185 and start fighting there, and get him busy. And maybe next year he could fight if Gegard's still a champion, or whoever he fights in the future. We can have a big super fight there.
Gabriel?
Hey, Scott, congratulations on having fans back and a successful evening. My question, I know there's always a lot of talk about there's so many promotions now, getting so-called drafting that talent to the company is a little harder than it was before. When you talk about Yaroslav, what do you remember about maybe your conversations with Rich, and when you pretty much signed this guy to be one of your up-and-coming talents in the company?
Yeah, you know what? I think it was actually Mike Hogan is the one that told me about him first, and I think Mike is the one that signed him. When a kid is 20, I think at that time he was 22-0 or 21-0, and he could wrestle, he could strike, he could have this great grappling game. Had a lot of high hopes for this kid, and then I think the fight that really stood out to me was him and Ed Ruth. They had a great battle back and forth. And then he had a great fight here with Logan Storley, which to me, that was an amazing fight, fast-paced fight. He won, but that was a very close fight. I think that fight was a split decision, if I'm not mistaken. So you'll see Logan in here getting busy, because I'm sure he's going to be motivated to fight Amosov again at some point. But there's, there is a tremendous pool of athletes that would love to fight him, and I think Logan's going to be right up there. But as far as, we're out there looking for the best fighters in the world, and Amosov is definitely one of them. And it took a couple years to get here, and now he's a champ. So it all worked out for him.
Two more. Ed?
Mr. Coker, two questions in regards to what you just said about returning to business as usual. One is, how soon do you think you and Mr. Sakakibara can start doing some sort of business together again? And two is, with Showtime's connection with the recent pay-per-view, Logan Paul. I know you've talked about it enough, but is that something you might have a pin in for the future?
Well, the first part of the question was Sakakibara. I mean, Japan is on lockdown. I'm not sure if you heard, but it's definitely closed right now, and I don't think that even for the Olympics next month that they're opening it up to foreigners to go there. So they have their, they're in the middle of their COVID crisis. So who knows? I'm not sure if we'll be able to travel that way for, months and months. Whereas here in the United States, it's kind of light at the end of the tunnel. As far as, the Logan Paul situation, listen, we talked to Logan a couple of years ago. He wanted to box. I asked him if he's interested in MMA, and he said, not right now. We're continuing conversations, but, whether he chooses to box or on Showtime Sports pay-per-view, or he fights and he decides to come fight in mixed martial arts, we'll definitely have a conversation at some point. That show was very successful in a lot of different ways, and Showtime did 1 million buys, him and Mayweather. And honestly, I thought that he did a great job against Mayweather, who clearly in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round was trying to knock him out. So, hats off to the kid, man. He trained hard. He did what he had to do, and he lasted 8 rounds with, arguably one of the best fighters of all time.
Mike?
Oh, hey. How we doing? One more question for me, Scott. I know there's a lot of talk about the Paul brothers, but there was another boxer that came over to MMA and made her debut last night over the PFL, Claressa Shields. And I know that every organization kind of had discussions with her and wanted to bring her in. I'm just curious if you got a chance to watch her fight and what you thought of it, and, her going over to a different organization and what you thought of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, congratulations to her. I mean, she's an Olympic medalist, and she's had a great world championship career in boxing. I just will say this. I think that the road just gets much tougher moving forward. And, somebody that really has a good wrestling background and good submission game is going to be very dangerous against a pure striker, because it's going to take her years to really learn the submission game and the wrestling, to fight somebody that has a wrestling pedigree that, that's out there. It's gonna be very tough. So to me, she'll always have a shot because she has such great striking hands. But as far as, moving forward, I think as the opponents get tougher, I think she's gonna have her hands full.
Last one, Darren?
Thanks for having me. Congrats on yet another successful event, Scott. The quick question that I've got is, do you have an accomplishment now that we're halfway through 2021 that you're most proud of for Bellator?
Boy, I tell you, that's a tough question. I mean, we've been working really hard here. I think that, I'd like to really, look at it as a whole, as a company whole. And, for us to still be here doing what we're doing what we love, having our staff grind it out, having the fighters be very patient with us because of all the different, hurdles we've had to face in this COVID time. I just got to give my hats off to them. And I'm really looking forward to the end of this year, because, it's going to get back to business as usual, and we're going to start traveling here pretty soon. And I think that the last fight, kind of, let's call it our residency, will be the July 16th fight. That probably will be our last fight here, and then we might come back before the end of the year. But from then we're going to get on the road, and I believe that we'll start doing fights in the San Francisco Bay Area and San Jose. We'll do fights in the New York area. We'll probably do fights in Chicago, LA. I mean, I think we're going to go back on the road and start hitting it hard again.
All right. Thanks for the time, Scott.
Thank you.
The recording has stopped.